from antenatal services, delivery services, and postnatal services. Something else the government has done since 2013 is to make sure that healthcare dispensaries and health centers is free. And also there is the HIS program. I don't know if there's anyone who knows about HIS, the Health Insurance Subsidy Program. Do you have anyone who knows about HIS program? Okay, so the Health Insurance Subsidy Program is a government program which is sponsored by the government and other donors to enable the poorest households in the country, households with orphans and vulnerable children, to access free health services at specific hospitals, public facilities, faith-based facilities, as well as mission-based facilities. And also the program also benefits poor households that have people who are above 65 years of age, and also it also benefits people with severe disabilities. So, and the whole aim of this program is to make sure that the poor people and those who are vulnerable have equal access to care as anyone else. So for today, we are going to talk about a lady called Neema. So as a program, we interviewed poor people to be able to see, are they really benefiting from government programs, and if there are any as a program, we went out to interview the poor people to be able to see if they're actually benefiting from government health programs and maybe what challenges they are facing. So today we are going to share a story about Neema. This is not her true name. We've changed her name to protect her confidentiality. She's a woman who is living with a disability, and we want to see how the various factors in her life influence access to equitable care. Okay, so we'll start with who is Neema. So Neema is a 60-year-old. She's female. She was able to study up to standard 1, and when she was 1 year old, she developed a disability of her lower limbs that left her with paralysis of one side of the leg, and that was due to polio when she was a child. And then in terms of her marital status, when we were interviewing her in December 2017, she was divorced, and at that time she was living with 2 of her grandchildren. So she had 4 children. One died when he was a teenager. One of her daughters later died in later life, and the 2 grandchildren that she was living with belonged to her daughter, who later developed a mental illness, leaving her as the sole provider for her children. And then she was born in an urban informal settlement, and at the point of the interview, that's where she was also living. And in terms of economic status, she's a poor woman, and she earns a living in Mama Mboga. She earns a living from selling groceries at the local market. So just to look at access to education, as we've said, we see that she was only able to study up to standard 1 because she really struggled to get to school at that age, having to use a walking stick to be able to get to school. And from her home place to where the school was, it was really uphill. And she told her mother that other people get to school early, but I get there at 10 to 10:30 a.m. Among your children, as a child with a disability, I'll be helping with cooking, food, and cultivating land. So she opted to forgo school because it was too much of a struggle. And this is something that we see that is common for people with disabilities. We find that in terms of access to public services, such as education and health, there are a lot of inequities. And we find that, So we find that for people with disabilities, they have less access to education compared to able-bodied people. And also when you compare men and women who have disabilities, we find that women have less access to education than compared to men with disabilities. So moving on to access to maternity services, we saw that she had 4 children, but for the first 3 deliveries, she had them at home because she's poor and her parents could not be able to help her afford money to go and seek a health facility delivery. So we find that she says that my parents could not afford, so some women in the village helped me deliver. And this was before the implementation of the free government health services. As you can see, she's 60 years old, and the free maternity services were just introduced in 2013. Okay, and then there's something else in her life, that is gender-based violence, that really influenced her access to care. So we find that her husband at that point in time during her pregnancies, she was undergoing physical and both verbal abuse, and this affected her health and the health of her unborn child, where she says, the healthcare workers told me because my husband was beating me too much, the pregnancy is becoming smaller, so instead of the baby growing well in the abdomen, I decided that I will not give birth again. So we find that the physical and the verbal abuse that she was enduring from her husband, it influenced her her reproductive health choices, she's opted to have her tubes tied because she could not imagine getting pregnant again and having to endure physical abuse. Because as she was pregnant, as she explained, because as the pregnancy progressed, it limited her mobilities to be able to do even household tasks. Okay, so we find that eventually, Neema got divorced because the husband didn't want someone he didn't want someone who had a disability. He said that he wanted someone who could fetch water quickly and one who could go to the portion mill quickly. And then my marriage ended that way. And I told myself I will not get married again. So we see that her home environment and the abuse that she endured also made her not to ever think of getting married again in the future. So we find that after she got divorced, she ended up moving back to her parents' house, but eventually her parents died, and she was left as the sole provider of her family. And we find that according to her culture, as she said, that once you're married, she could not think of going back to her rural home because once you're married, going back you're considered as a burden. So she decided to just continue living in the urban informal settlement. So eventually, being a poor person, as you mentioned, there is a government cash transfer program for the very poorest households in the country, where they are entitled to getting 2,000 shillings per month. So she was lucky to be selected to become a beneficiary of the government cash transfer program, and also to become a HISP beneficiary, which, as I had mentioned before, it enables poor households, like her being a person with severe disability, to be able to access free care, and where the government actually subsidizes the cost of NHIF to enable them to seek free inpatient and outpatient care. But we find that despite having this card, she didn't seek care because she didn't really understand that with this card I can actually get free healthcare services and don't have to pay. So at the time of the interview, she had long-standing abdominal pains for quite a while, but she was saying that I tell myself that even if I go to the hospital, maybe they will ask me for money, and sometimes I don't have the money. It's good that I'm now aware. I just used to stay with the card. So we find that lack of awareness about her service and entitlements prevented her from using the card, yet she was entitled to free healthcare. Something else that prevented her from seeking healthcare was that she believed that being a person with disability, when she goes to the health services, she believed that healthcare workers will not attend to her quickly and should have to wait for so long. But she says that, I feel that we people with disabilities don't have someone who will attend to you quickly at the hospital. I tell myself I will live there at night, and what will my grandchildren eat? So even if she felt unwell, she would just go to a chemist, get over-the-counter drugs, because she felt that that was just her perception that at the health facility she shouldn't be treated as fast as she would want to. Another barrier for her, as we've seen, that she was a sole household provider for herself and for her grandchildren. And she saw that she should better go to the market to earn income as opposed to go to the hospital. So she says, if I leave the market, what will my children eat? Personally, what will I eat? Just that, because I don't have anyone else who can help me, I'm just the way you're seeing me. So we find that being of low income status, for her, the priority is to continue earning a livelihood and postpone going to seek care. And we also find that since she's alone, she doesn't have anyone to leave her children with, so she would opt to forgo care. Something else you see is that within the HISP program, as we saw that she was only able to study up to standard 1, and this was something that led to discrimination because of her low education status. If there were any forums to tell people about the HISP program, the insurance program, to enable them to know about their service entitlements, so it was actually left behind by community leaders because they felt that she's uneducated and she could not be able to participate effectively. So here she says that they've never taken me for the awareness raising forums for HISP. They say that they want someone who is educated, and they leave me behind. They say that we're selecting people who can talk and those who answer questions the right way. So I wonder, why don't they take me for the meeting one of these days, and then they will see if I'll not be able to answer the question. So she felt excluded because of her low education status and perceptions that people had about her. So just in summary, we're able to see that in terms of getting access to care, there are so many factors within someone's life that can affect equitable access to care. It's not just poverty. Sometimes we tend to think that it's only The only thing that can prevent people from accessing care is just poverty. But there's so many things within someone's life, within the society, within the health system that actually prevent people from seeking care. So we see her as Naema, her circumstance. She's poor, she's uneducated, she's divorced, she's living with a disability, living in an informal settlement, and we find that she has little family support as she's divorced. Her parents have gone, she can go back to her rural home. And we find those are part of the cultural barriers that prevent her from getting support. And within the health system, she has negative perceptions about the service that she'll get when she goes to the health facility. So we find that her disability leads her to being divorced, her parents have died, so she becomes the sole provider. And being of low socioeconomic status, she'd rather work than go to a health facility. We also find that the domestic violence that she endures affects her health and the health of her unborn baby. It also affects her reproductive health choices because she decides to get a triple ligation. It also affects her marital status because after that, she doesn't think she'd want to get married again. And then we find that her low education status also leads to her limited understanding that she's entitled to free healthcare. And we also find that the low education also leads her to being discriminated by other people within society because she thinks she cannot be able to participate effectively. So with regards to this short story, there's so many other challenges that people with disabilities face in terms of accessing healthcare, like disability and friendly public health transport systems are not there. Are our health facilities disability friendly? Do we have ramps in our hospitals? Do we have disability friendly toilets? And all these, do we have sign language interpreters? And we find that all these factors influence access to care for vulnerable groups and people with disabilities. But just from Neema's story, we have a few recommendations that there's need for multi-sectoral action. And it's good that we are all here. We have partners, we have the county government, we have civil society organizations, we have researchers. There's need to improve awareness of patient rights and service entitlements because we find there are so many free government healthcare programs. There's Linda Mama, there's HISP, there's free care at health centers, but if people are not aware, they might be staying at home being afraid that they'll have to pay for services. So we need to create more awareness about what people are entitled to. And then there's also a need to address factors such as poverty, either by encouraging and providing income-generating activities, and also addressing things like lack of education, or ensuring that people, irrespective of their ability status or income status, that they all have access to education. Because all these factors, as we've seen, they are likely to influence access to care and even knowledge about healthcare services. And then something else, sorry. There is need to ensure inclusion of vulnerable groups such as the poor and people with disabilities in public participation forums. And it's exciting to hear that the county government actually is proposing a bill on public participation and also about the new forum that they are starting on enhancing public participation. And then the last thing is there's need to improve social support for persons with disabilities by sensitizing communities about their needs and also to eliminate discrimination. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you very much. A better clap. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. It's now my honor to invite the Director International Budget Partnership Kenya, Dr. Abraham Rugo, to bring on board the newsline. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So newsline are the guys in red, but they have been doing some work for us. As we start these conversations, first of all, I want us to appreciate the Cambridge team once again.
Let's give them a clap. Thank you so much. That is just to start the conversation. Thank you so much,
Evelyn and team. Alex, thank you for the great work.
But we, in our emphasis that equity conversations are public conversations and we need as many people participating in this, we did talk to a couple of people here in Busia through the Newsline team. But the important thing as you watch this video, and then we will be welcoming Molly and Mokeira for the next session, is really to appreciate that these are conversations that we are all connected with. With that, I think I want to say, are we good? As they come, one of the things that we would like to focus on very, very much today in our conversations is to ask, so what? It's very common for such deliberations like these ones to only be focused on the problem. The problem is big, the problem is complicated, the issues are, but so what? What solutions can we start thinking about? And that's why it's really a multi-conversation of this. Good, thank you. Please proceed.
Putting things on the same level. Ni usawa inamaanisha kuwa ni kugawiwa rasilimali ambayo inatoshana. Equity is whereby an individual is able to access the government services or services from any institution without being discriminated as per the Constitution.
How people are able to get the right services that they need. Equity means distribution of resources according to the needs of the people. Equity means that the resources that we have are given to those people who require those resources. You have to remain fair in the distribution, in that if you are giving out something, then you have to ensure that everybody is able to get something in equal measure.
Equity is, to me, a way by which we can share resources in a manner that determines the needs of the people that are supposed to receive and use these resources.
Bodaboda tumefanya hapo bodaboda miaka mingi. Hatuna hata ule mtu wa kutusaidia. Pia sisi tunufaike na hii pesa yetu.
Sasa hapa hakuna kubalance kitu yote. Kuna kaunti zingine wanagawa pesa mingi na zingine hawagawi pesa mingi. Sababu kuna kaunti zingine ni maskini nitakana wapewe rasilimali nyingi na hawapewi.
Hizo pesa za kaunti zikiwa allocated, zile sehemu ambazo ziko na changamoto zipewe kipaumbele, lakini hilo halifanyiki katika kaunti yetu ya Busia.
We have a lot of inequalities in terms of employment opportunities, in terms of service provision, in terms of budget allocations. One of the inequalities is in terms of funding. Because when the funds come, all departments are given ceilings. And these ceilings, at times you find you go beyond what you have been given. So it forces you to compromise or to reduce what some areas deserved. So funding is one of the causes of inequity. We also have issues of commodities. Commodities are not adequately provided because of the budgetary issues, and it causes some people not to receive what they really require. Human resources is a big challenge that we are not able to equitably distribute them to all the people. This has disadvantaged some areas where you find like some health centers have very few human resource providers. Not forgetting infrastructure issues, we still have a challenge that we are not able to have all the facilities having the same equipment. Ningeona watusaidie upande wa barabara, at least ipanuliwe.
Kuelimisha watu, kuhamasisha watu, kuambia watu siku fulani tuko na kitu fulani, muje kwa wingi ama muje kwa idadi hii, ili tuweze kuhusika sisi yote. Unajua elimu inashinda kupea mtu huduma yako na mtu ajue elimu, kwa hiyo huduma imsaidi. Elimu kwanza, waelimishe wananchi mpaka chini mashinani.
First of all, the government should legislate policies which are citizen responsive. For example, the County Government Act 2012, Section 10, sub clauses 98, 99, and 100, states that provision of civic education is actually a sole responsibility of county government. And they are supposed to come up with the county government frameworks that provide clear platforms on how civic education can be carried out in the counties. And it's supposed
especially upande wa ajira. Tumepata kwamba ni kabila moja peke yake limetawala katika kaunti, ambapo kwa kaunti ya Busia imebeba kabila mingi sana. Tuko na Wajaluo, tuko na Wakikuyu, Waluya. Kwa hivyo ingekuwa vyema county government ingebalance katika upande wa ajira. Pia kuna hizi vocational institutes, hizi training institutes, hizi kama polytechnics hizi, waweze kuweka vifaa vya kutosha ili vijana wetu wapate ujuzi pale, waende wajiajiri.
We as CSOs request government to have an enabling ground or an enabling environment where CSOs can actually work with government and accept positive critic from citizens, positive critics from CSOs, and let them be able to respond to citizen needs so as to be able to achieve equity.
We need to empower our primary healthcare framework, because unless the dispensaries, the health centers are empowered enough to be able to offer the services which they need. So if we can empower those other facilities to ensure that they can do that, and we encourage our people to have confidence in whatever is being offered there, then I think it will help us now to refocus and say, what can the county referral hospital be able to offer differently?
Thank you very much for the clear pop sound. Imekuwaje? Imekuwa mzuri? Very inspiring and educative, sivyo? Makofi kwa wale produce your pop sound. 1 2 3. Another 1 2 3. All right. I've been allowed by the director IBP Dr. Rugo to invite Molly and Mukeira. Makofi call as they come. 1 2 3.
Hi everyone. Hi. I want us to do one exercise. Now I understand, I think and I believe that we now know what inequality is. We want to start mapping, like this one is just but an example of the Busia County map. So we want to use the colors in mapping, like this is the Busia County where we have the 7 sub-counties. So we'll try by marking the inequalities in Busia County, like access to the public services in health sector. So the green pen will use in mapping mapping the areas where access is much better. The red one, the red pen, will use it in mapping where the access is not much better, like where there are poor access of the public resources. In the blue pen, will use it in marking the moderate, where there are moderate access, where we have at least moderate access to the public health care.
So we all know our counties very well. We have people from Busia, from Kakamega, from Bungoma. So what we are going to do, we know we have many Busia residents, so we have multiple Busia maps. And then we're going to have one for Kakamega and another one for Bungoma. So what we want to ask you is, if you're from Busia, please raise your hand. Wow, that's a huge number. So we are going to try and have maybe 7 groups, 6 groups, 6 groups. So what we'll do, we'll just start from here, counting 1 to 7, and then you go to your respective group. But the Bungoma and Kakamega groups
can just form one each. The point of the drawing is to just see how much do we know about the inequalities in our counties. And we are focusing on the health sector, but feel free to add one more sector if you need to. And when we come back after 30 minutes, we need three things. A map with multiple colors, and then we're going to give you another flip chart that says, number 2, what criteria did you use to do your mapping? And the last thing is, what options does your group have to reduce those inequalities that you have singled out that are present in your counties? Are we all clear? So we'll give you one flip chart for your map and another one to write down, which you may answer at the end of your deliberations. Okay? So, Busia, nyinyi ndio sasa tunatufanya tusiende group work. Can we start from Dr. Mary? Let's start from you. 1, and we go like that. If you're Busia, make sure you say 1 to 7. Na mwenye ako number 7, useme 8, the next one ni number 1. Aya, let's start from Dr. Mary.
2, 4,
5, 6, 7.
1, 2, 3,
That,
5.
This table, no Busia? Hello? Okay, let's move to this table. Is there Busia here? Okay, let's continue with
6,
Alright,
7,
alright. Next table. Any Busia?
1, 2,
Alright. Please pick a number also. You can pick a number. So let's keep going. Did we get a 4? 4? You're 4. Okay, let's get a 5 from that table as well.
7, 1,
Great. Uh-huh.
4,
Okay, let's get to 4. Yes? We need a 5. Somewhere there.
5,
Okay, let's continue. One of you drops the 5. Then we can continue. I can't hear you. Imagine you're going to come and present to us. If you can't hear, we can't hear number 5, there's going to be a challenge.
6.
All right?
1, 2, 5,
6.
1,
It's okay. It's okay. I can't hear you guys. Okay.
5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 6, 1,
All right.
5, 6,
Uh-huh.
1,
See? Everyone from Busia and other environments have a number, right?
No, the middle table.
Middle table, let's continue then.
1, 5, 6, 1.
3.
Okay, all number 8, can you be number 1s? We'll have extra numbers there. It's not very easy to count when we're so many, but thank you guys. Does everyone in Busia have a number? Good. If you're not from any county, please join Busia or Bungoma or Kakamega. We'll have the Bungoma table here, the Kakamega table where Habel is sitting, and then the rest of you can distribute yourself. Remember, we want this flip chart and a second one that shows us the inequalities in your county as you see them and why you did what you did. Okay? So do it in 30 minutes. It's now 11:53, so we'll be back here at 12:30. I've given you an extra minute there for you to choose a rapporteur and a chairman. Don't do such things. Just bring us the flip charts, okay? Thank you, guys.
Oh, number one wakuje hapa. Number one wasimama wakuje hapa, nasikia mtakosana. Wenye wengine wameshasahau walikuwa namba gani. Number one wakuje hapa. Haraka haraka as the lifters are being distributed. Number 2 pale, number 3. Number 2 wanatafutwa. Yes, watu wa Kakamega watafute Habel. Watu wa Bungoma watafute Ezekiel.
Number 4.